Muhammad died in 632 AD, and for the first 50 years or so after his death, Islam was preoccupied with conquest. The speed at which the Islamic Empire expanded was remarkable. In just a few decades, it went from nothing to gigantic. It was the most dramatic, most aggressive and fastest feat of empire building the world has seen. This is the Islamic Empire just 100 years after Muhammad's death. Up here, the whole of Spain, all of North Africa, the entire Middle East, as far across as the borders of India. But all this astonishingly successful conquest didn't leave much time for art. Almost nothing survives from the first years of Islam. Clearly, art wasn't a priority. And then, out of nothing, as if by magic, this appears. The Dome of the Rock. Nothing in Islamic art prepares us for this. It's just suddenly there. A definitive Islamic creation seemingly conjured out of thin air. It's like a flying saucer or something that's landed out of nowhere. And something you sense immediately, even from this distance, is the powerful geometry of it. That air of mathematical clarity. And that's something that continues in Islamic architecture. As you can see, it's an octagon. It's got 8 sides. And octagons have a special symbolic presence because they combine the geometry of a circle with the geometry of a square. I'll show you. If I draw a circle here, and then 2 intersecting squares here and here, the shape they form, shape in the middle, that's the octagon. The octagon is a surprisingly popular Dark Age shape, with powerful sacred meanings. If the earth is a square and heaven is a perfect circle, the octagon is a symbolic bridge between the two. All the proportions of the Dome of the Rock are meaningful. So these walls here, the walls of the octagon, each of those is about 20 meters long. And the dome in the middle, the height of that is again about 20 meters, and the diameter of it is also 20 meters. So all these proportions have been carefully calculated and have a purpose. It's as if the entire building has been shaped by a divine mathematics. And those divine mathematics have given it a sacred meaning. This location, Temple Mount, is the holiest spot in Jerusalem. This is where King Solomon built the first Jewish temple, the one destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. And then Herod, the infamous King Herod, built the second temple here as well. Herod's temple was made entirely from white marble and was so huge it covered 67 acres of this sacred location. So grand, so pompous, and to my eyes, so inelegant. So the Dome of the Rock sits on layer upon layer of crucial religious history. And when the Muslims conquered Jerusalem in 638 AD and claimed this site for Islam, they took possession of what is probably the most loaded religious spot on earth. And that's just the outside. For me, this mysterious interior is one of the most atmospheric achievements of the Dark Ages. There's something so haunting about the way the light works in here. The shimmer of the mosaics, the whispers of the calligraphy. Basically, it's a circular shrine. It's not a mosque, it's a place of pilgrimage that's been built around a sacred site. And the site it's all been built around is the site of this holy rock here. The Jews believe this is the rock on which Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son, Isaac. And the Ark of the Covenant is thought to lie hidden somewhere underneath as well. Islam has a different tradition. Islam believes that this is the holy rock from which the Prophet Muhammad set off on his great night journey to heaven. The angel Gabriel came to visit Muhammad in Mecca and brought him here to Jerusalem. And from this rock, the Prophet ascended to heaven. And there, in paradise, he met God. And God instructed him on the Muslim duty of prayer. So this holy rock, like the architecture around it, is a point of contact between man and God. And that's the religious message of the whole building. If you saw the first film in this series, you'll recognise this shape, because we've seen it before. This type of encircling architecture built over a precious site is something we found in the round churches of Byzantium. Remember San Vitale in Ravenna and Santa Constanza in Rome. The Muslim Caliph Ibn al-Malik, who built the Dome of the Rock, was deliberately taking on the architecture of the Christians. This round shape, the proportions, none of it is an accident. Abd al-Malik also added an explicit inscription which runs all the way round and which gives the date in which the dome was finished, 691 AD. And it also includes a stern message to the Christians. "O you people of the book," it says, meaning the Bible, "Jesus is only a messenger of God. God is only one God." It's a deliberate challenge to the Christians. Jesus is just a prophet. There's only one God, and gods don't have sons. This entire building is taking on Christianity. Look at that. From floor to ceiling, it's covered in the most exquisite mosaics. Gold and green. There's a palm tree and these beautiful jeweled crowns. And all the pieces of the mosaic are set at different angles, so they reflect the light differently at different times of day. And all these glorious mosaics are intended to evoke a vision of paradise. When you look there in paradise, says the Quran, you will see delights that cannot be imagined. Fruits of every kind and all that you ask for. At a stroke, Islam had invented for itself an unmistakable new architecture. And at the centre of this new architecture was a vision of paradise.